It's the eve of the all-cycle elections as the eyes of the nation is now on Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi states. And our reporters are combing these three states to bring you up to speed. Channels Television is your headquarters for the coverage of these elections. And the National Industrial Court has restrained the Nigerian Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress, as well as their affiliates from embarking on any strike or industrial action for now. A warm welcome to all of you. This is a special edition of Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. And we shall, within the next 2 hours or so, take you around the three states where elections will be happening tomorrow to bring you up to speed with preparations and set the atmosphere and the mood ahead of Saturday's crucial elections in these three states of Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi states. Our reporters are across these three states to bring you up to speed with what is happening. And we shall be speaking with major players to let you know, in terms of preparations of INEC and security deployment, what exactly is ongoing. You're getting some reactions and some of the updates of what is happening on the ground. Stick around with us right here on the program as we take you through these right. Of course, you do know that from the early hours of tomorrow morning, Channels Television will open the election studio for you and bring you up to speed. Our eyes are on the ground live from all of these states, and a league of reporters will be reporting for you live until the last result is being announced. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Let's bring you one of the top stories in the land as we speak. The National Industrial Court has restrained the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, as well as their affiliates, from embarking on any form of strike or industrial action. The two major labor unions were this evening ordered to stop the nationwide strike action scheduled to commence on the 14th of November 2023. The president of the court, Justice Benedict Kanyib, issued a restraining order following an ex parte application brought before the court by the federal government of Nigeria and the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice. Justice Kanyib invoked Section 17 and 19 of the National Industrial Court Act to issue a restraining order against the labor unions. The federal government and their AGF, through their lawyer, Tijani Ghazali, added an ex parte application, prayed the court to stop the planned strike action so as to stop the untold hardship that it would be inflicted on innocent law-abiding citizens and their businesses. Well, that's one of your major stories in the land today. We focus our attention on the elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi, and we are having to stand by for us, our reporters across these three states, to bring us up to speed. It's late in the day, but we do not want to know what exactly is going on. It's dark, but then we don't want to be in the dark. That's why our reporters are on the ground for you. Of course, some of the key players will also be bringing us up to speed with what they are doing. Security, INEC on the other hand, and we want to know whether INEC can do better from what they did early this year, February and March, in the general elections. But before we get into all of that, there are a lot of stories that we need to bring you up to speed on. Which are these stories on our political roundup?
President Bola Tinubu is assuring potential investors that their investments are safe in Nigeria. The president, who is attending the Saudi Africa Summit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, says Nigeria is ready for business, while assuring investors of some of the world's highest returns on investment. He assured all potential Saudi investors of the safety of their investment based on the sanctity of the rule of law and good returns on their investment in the largest economy in Africa. The Court of Appeal sitting in Lagos has affirmed the victory of Enugu State Governor Peter Mba in the March 18 governorship election. The court dismissed the appeal filed by the Labour Party governorship candidate Chijioke Edioga as lacking in merit and upheld the judgment of the Enugu Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal delivered in September. With less than 24 hours to the Kogi State governorship elections, the resident electoral commissioner of Kogi State, Gabriel Longpet, is assuring everyone that the upcoming elections will be free, fair, credible, and verifiable. Speaking at the state headquarters of the commission, the commissioner said staff of commission are committed to working professionally, even though he clarified that there were other factors outside the control of the commission, such as security. An election monitoring group, Yaga Africa, is asking the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to ensure that all operational shortcomings, especially the early deployment of election materials to polling units, are properly addressed ahead of the off-cycle elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi states. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, a board member of the group, Mr. Ezenwa Nwagu, calls on the commission to resist attempts to sabotage its logistics preparations by collaborating with security agencies to arrest and prosecute any defaulting transport companies employed for the purpose of the election. Another civil society organization ready to lead Africa is expressing concerns over the attitude of candidates. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the global president of the group, Mr. Godbless Otubure, says inflammatory comments by candidates and the booking of hotels by some state government is a threat to the conduct of a free, fair, and credible election. The president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Mr. Joe Ajaero, has broken silence over the attack on him at the protest in Owerri, the Imo State capital, last week. Mr. Ajaero, who addressed journalists in Abuja, maintains that he was arrested by the police and handed over to thugs who brutalized him before handing him back to the police. The Labour leader, who also refuted the allegations of his partisanship, notes that the industrial action and the decision for protest in Owerri was basically to fight for the rights of workers, and not even his death could have stopped that agitation. The governor of Edo State, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, says his administration has laid the perfect foundation for a bright future for Edo State with numerous legacy projects, both completed and ongoing ones. Mr. Obaseki was speaking at the 7th and final edition of the Alago Dare Economic Summit for his administration in Benin City, the Edo State capital. The event featured captains of industry, former civilian governors of Edo State, among other dignitaries.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Just before we get into the deep of things, let's let you know some of what you need to know. As far as some of the figures are concerned in these three elections, what do you know about Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi State as far as these elections is concerned in terms of population, the voting, the patterns, all of the details that you need to know? Our colleagues at Kimpact have done a very deep work in breaking some of these things down, and we're bringing some of these figures into for you to know and bringing perspectives to them. Let me show you some of these figures as we know them. For these three states, these are the population official figures that we know as of now. So in Bayelsa State, 2.394 million. That is the figure, the population of that state in the south-south region of the country. Imo State, 4.928 million. That is the official population of Imo State in the southeast region of the country. And Kogi State in the north-central region is 4,466,000 people in that state. Let's look at what the number of registered voters are. In Bayelsa State, just about 1,056,862 registered voters. Look, these registered voters, on one hand, is as inconsequential as the next figures that I'm going to show you, because it's one thing to register, but if you register and you don't have your PVC, it's inconsequential because you may not be able to vote. So hold these figures on one hand. In Bayelsa, 1,056,862 registered voters. In Imo is higher. In fact, the highest registered voters in all of the three states that elections will be happening tomorrow. Imo State has 2.4 million registered voters, precisely 2,419,922 voters. In Kogi State, 1.932 million 654 registered voters in Kogi State in North Central region. So let's flip the page and look at what exactly are the number of women and men in this distribution. So in Bayelsa State, we have 50.1% of the registered voters that are female, and male in Bayelsa State, in the number of the registered voters, are 49.9%. So in Bayelsa State, we have more registered female voters. In Imo State, we have more female voters in Imo State, and in Kogi State, we have more female voters. Look, women in these three states, by the statistics and the figures, they have more influence in this election. This is very instructive. Let's flip the page and look at what exactly some of these things are teaching us. So in the age distribution of this voting is also very crucial. If you look at in all of this, who are the group of people that are most important in Bayelsa State to determine who becomes the next governor of that South State? And these are the people between the age of 18 and 34. They make up 42%, and followed by middle-aged people, 40%. And we have the elderly, 15%, and 3% of the old people between 70 and above. So, if you are looking at those who will make a difference in Bayelsa State, one, women, and young people between the age of 18 and 49. These are the people that are very consequential in terms of how they vote and how they will determine the votes in Bayelsa State tomorrow. Let's go to Imo State and look at what exactly is going on there. In Imo State, slightly similar to what we are having. Yes, female voters are more in terms of registration. If you look at the distribution, there are 33% of youth between the age of 18 and 34. There are 32% of middle-aged people, which makes up 783,120. So these people are also very crucial between the age of 18 and 49. They make up about 65% of the registered voters in Imo State. Elderly and the old, let's look at it. This time around is also something very significant. The same group of people, young people, are going to be determining who becomes the next governor of Kogi State. In terms of the registration of the voters, we have more of them there. In fact, 76% of them are young people, and they make up almost 1 million registered voters in Kogi State. And we have old people between 18% and 6% between the age of 50 and 70 and above. So let's look further and look at this figure. I told you that the registration of voter is not as consequential as those who have their PVC, because without your PVC, you cannot vote. So this is very significant. This is the number that you need to pay attention to, because if you put those these two figures together, it tells you, it gives you the figure of the registered voter. But this is a figure that is very consequential, and that is a figure of the PVC that has been collected in Bayelsa State. It is 1,017,613, and in Imo, 2,318,919 voters that are collected their PVC, and those are the eligible voters in Imo State. In Kogi State is 1,833,160 voters. In all of this, you see that there are more PVC collected in Imo State than the two other states. Now, look at the number of registered voters per local government. So if you're looking at the local governments that are very consequential, that can determine the election in Bayelsa State, Yenagoa, which is in the capital, Southern Ijaw, which is also a very significant one. Sagbama and Ekremo, they are very significant. And these four local government areas, anyone who wins these four local government areas will in some way be in a very strong leg in winning the election. Let's go to, of course, the number of PVC collected by local government. Yenagoa has the highest still in Kogi State. The number of PVCs collected by local government and the local government with the more of the PVC collected, and in terms of the population and those who can swing the vote, Dekina, of course, very important. Ankpa, Okene, and Lokoja, these are very significant, and you need to look at these figures to let you know that in Kogi State, these local governments are very crucial. The campaigns of the political parties and their candidates, if they have not been able to convince these people in this local government that has more figures, they may have not done a good job. But yeah, we see how these votes in this local government will determine the vote. So in terms of number of registered voters, that is what we have in the local government area. Let's go to Imo State. If you are for Mbitoli, Owerri West, Owerri North, in terms of registered voter, you will see that these are very significant figures that will determine who becomes the next governor of Imo State. Of course, places like Owerri Municipal, Ikeduru, Abo Imbinse, Ohaji Egbema, Olu, these are also very crucial in terms of the figures that they have. If you move forward quickly, the number of PVCs collected, almost very similar trend of the PVC collected and registered voters in Imo State, focus your attention on what the figures that may be coming from these local government areas when the results are eventually coming in tomorrow. And these are the trend of the votes as we have seen in Bayelsa State. But let me take a pause for a moment. And let's look at what is happening in some of these states. And I will start with Bayelsa State. Let's get a feeler of what is going on. Of course, I told you that my colleagues are already on the field in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi State, and they're combing every nook and cranny of this state, looking for the story that will be of interest to you and will be significant to our coverage of this very important election. I've told you, this is the election headquarters of the nation right here in Nigeria. The nation's premier television station, Channels Television, bringing you all the stories that you need to know. And in terms of politics, we are your voice and your eyes on the ground. Let's start with Bayelsa State. My colleague, Dobra Timiwood, is standing by to bring us up to speed with what is happening. Dobra, what is going on in Bayelsa?
It's been a very busy day in INEC, the Bayelsa State headquarters. It's actually been a wet Friday as there's been a heavy downpour. Now, all the stakeholders regarding the governorship elections for tomorrow say they are doing everything within their powers to deliver an itch-free election. Now, earlier on, the DIG in charge of the South addressed journalists, and he made certain remarks where he called on politicians to ensure that they do not go to the polling unit with their aides. In fact, he said if any aide is caught with their principal, they will be arrested. He also spoke about an allegation that there are fake security officers moving around in Bayelsa. He says their searchlight is on them. If they are caught, they would also be seriously dealt with. Now, speaking on violence and the governorship election for tomorrow, it says they've ensured that there is really no serious violence recorded, but is calling on all the political actors to do their part. They shouldn't heat up the polity by making inflammatory statements that make people lose confidence in the election. On his part, he says the police assure that they will do their best to ensure that the election is peaceful. Now, on the part of INEC, sensitive materials have been moved. People have been deployed where they should be tomorrow. Now, they've said everybody should go to their polling unit at the time allotted, and they would meet INEC officials there. They believe that tomorrow's election will be smooth and people should have confidence in the process. Now, for most Bayelsans that will be going out of Yenagoa, the state capital, they've already traveled, as it's not safe by this time to travel along the waterway. So people have left earlier on in the day and even in the afternoon. Most people that are still in Yenagoa at the moment are those whose polling units are in Yenagoa. The light showers are starting again, so the raids may still continue, but till then we'll be here to give you updates on all that is happening in Bayelsa State regarding the governorship elections that is taking place tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Dobra Timiwood, my colleagues who has been giving us update from Yenagoa in Bayelsa State. Of course, please do stay safe and get us the story as much as you get them. Let's go to Imo State. And also my colleague, Kayla Megwa, is standing by to bring us up to speed. Kayla, what do we have as of now?
Elections that we'll be holding here tomorrow, the governorship election, and of course the front runners are getting themselves together. Everything seems pretty tense in the city. I just got into the city just a few hours ago, and then, getting in here, you can get the sense that many people are a little worried about the security situation in the state, a little worried about what the outcome of the elections are going to be. But election violence really is one thing that we've seen, at least I've seen, that a lot of people are very worried about. And we don't know what impact that's going to have on the electoral process. We don't know if that's going to cause some kind of voter apathy, or are we going to see people come out en masse tomorrow to vote for a governor for this state? These are still things that are being understood, and of course we'll be here tomorrow, of course, to see exactly how it all works out. But this evening, we're very peaceful. A lot of people are getting ready for the election, and just so we can run through those figures with you again, sensitive materials, like we've been told since I got into the city, sensitive materials from CBN have been distributed distributed. Okay, so they've left the CBN already. 27 local government areas are going to be seeing a lot of people turn out, hopefully, for the elections. 3 senatorial districts, 10 federal constituencies, and of course, we heard 4,758 polling units. And of course, it's going to be holding the elections are going to be holding in just 4,720 of those as a result of the fact that 38 of those polling units don't have any registered voters in them. And then, of course, we're looking at 2.32 million people have collected their PVCs in Imo State. So that's a lot of people, but still, you know, like I said earlier, a lot of worries about what could go wrong. People very, very tense about the security situation in the state. Nothing has happened yet, you know, but just, you know, the idea that there might be some kind of violence during the elections or some kind of intimidation, we don't know if that's going to happen, but we're going to be watching to see exactly how that pans out right here in Imo State. But right now, the state seems pretty calm as everyone gets ready for the polls tomorrow morning, Sharon.
Thank you so much. With all smiles, Kayla. You're covering it. It's the early hours before the election day. It's few hours before the start of the election. Thank you so much, Kayla Megua, in Owerri, the Imo State capital, for us there. Let me take you to the North Central State of Kogi State. My colleague Larry Lasisi is standing by. Larry, what more can you tell us as of now in Kogi State? I know and I understand that you are in Lokoja, the capital city. How calm is it? What is the preparation levels and the security situation? Larry?
Well, Sheung, we're here in Lokoja, and it's been a very interesting day. We've had a press briefing from the resident electoral commissioner, and he's made a guarantee, he's given a guarantee that the elections will be free, fair, credible. And he used the word I liked. He said it will be verifiable. But he's also gone ahead to say we may be surprised that tomorrow we will get there at the polling units and find out that the staff are there even before those that will vote. And we're looking forward to going out early tomorrow and to see if he can make good that promise. We actually also met with the DIG in charge of the elections here, and he gave us his own assurances and made a call to people, to voters, assuring them of their safety, saying they had nothing to worry about, that they've done everything, they've done a lot to put in place security measures to ensure the safety of voters and of the electoral process. We went about town. We also went to the INEC office at the local government level, where sensitive and non-sensitive materials have been sent out and were being put together and moved out. We saw also the staff, the ad hoc staff that had been selected and trained. They were checking out where they've been posted to. So everything appears to be going on as it should. We took pictures of town, went around town. The atmosphere is calm. Everybody was going about their normal businesses. And it gives one the impression that tomorrow everything may just go the way the expectation is, that people will turn out, elections will hold free, fair, and the results will come in as we want them to. So for now, from Lokoja, Larry Lasisi, back to you, Sharon.
Thank you so much, Larry. It seems everybody is cool, calm, collected ahead of that elections. Before we get really deep into the whole of the activities tomorrow, just a few hours before the election. And tonight, it's a 2-hour program against the 1 hour usual that we have. It's a special edition looking at the elections. Of course, it's very packed for you, and I have some eggheads to analyze these issues for us. Of course, I have Professor Gideon Adide, Professor of Political Science, who is here. He's one of our election consultants. Thank you so much indeed, Prof, for coming tonight. And a very one of those police officers that you will always remember, Emmanuel Ojukwu, a retired police officer and a security consultant. Thanks so much, Mr. Ojukwu, for joining us tonight. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much indeed. So we'll be looking at all of the perspectives. But let's go back to each of the grounds where we are reporting live for you, and let's touch base with those who are in the know and who are in charge. First and foremost, let's touch base in Bayelsa State. Let's go live to Yanagwa, where the resident electoral commissioner of INEC in charge of Bayelsa State, Mr. Obo Efanga, who is joining us live. Thank you so much, Mr. Efanga, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Sharon.
Yeah, indeed. I know that this is not your first time of conducting a governorship election, but this time around in Bayelsa State, 8 local government. You've been in Rivers State. These are not the easiest state to conduct elections. Rivers, Bayelsa State. Bayelsa State has its own peculiarities. But what can you tell us as regards that? What would you say is a major challenge that you're trying to overcome?
Okay, thank you very much, Sharon. I would like to start by correcting an information you gave on the statistics for Bayelsa State. You said that we had more female registered voters than male. It's actually the reverse. So there are 54% of the registered voters are male and 46% are female. I just thought I should correct that. Now, we are set for the election. We've moved our materials from the state capital to the local government areas, and that was yesterday. And today, those materials have been moved and are being moved to the registration areas, also known as wards. So, and we have our personnel on ground. We've had support from the security agencies in moving our personnel to those places. We look forward to the elections coming up tomorrow, and that the place would be as calm as it has been so far, especially today. We hope that at the time the politicians and their supporters come out to vote, they'll conduct themselves properly, and that the elections will go on smoothly.
Indeed. I know that, thank you so much for that correction. I think we'll look at the figures and compare the latest coming from INEC and what we had, but as of when we came into the studio, that was what we had, but we'll compare these figures and see where those differences are being. But give us an understanding in respect of Bayelsa State. The technicality around Bayelsa State is the large expanse of water, which in terms of logistics has always been a nightmare. What have you put in place? Because INEC has also had a disease and a malaise that's, you know, when it comes to election day, logistics have been a problem. We've had transporters who had even boycotted election at the last minute. But are you able to secure enough boats to transport materials, especially to these likely difficult terrains?
Yes, we did our homework very well, and we identified the number of vehicles we'll need, be they vehicles on land or on the water. And we have made the provisions for that for each of the local government areas. And we also made sure that we had an arrangement for extra if we have to have those on election day or during this time. Like I said yesterday, we had already moved the materials to the local government areas, and today was to move them to the registration area centers, the racks where our election personnel will camp overnight. That has gone smoothly so far. Today, wherever we had some hitches, we tried to address that. Some of those hitches had to do with security concerns, but we worked with the security agencies who ensured that we were able to move to the locations. And the movement is still going on in some locations as we speak. And we hope that tomorrow would even be better when they now have to go to the polling units. Like you said, some of the polling units in some of the areas would require us to still use boats to move from the racks to the polling units. And we've also made arrangements for the adequate number of boats that we need for those areas. And we've contracted the people who are supplying this. So far, we've not had any issues with the service providers of be the cars, trucks, or boats.
So in terms of the sort of agitation that we saw, some protests we understand happened earlier today where some of the protesters were dispersed with tear gas. What do we know? Because this was in relation to the election. Do you know anything about that you can tell us tonight?
No, I'm not aware of that. If it happened, it didn't happen in our own premises or anywhere where we are conducting our affairs. I haven't got any report to that effect.
Bring us up to speed.
And besides, you wouldn't be seeing voters today. It's tomorrow that we'll see the voters.
All right, bring us up to speed with some of these local government, some of which I was earlier analyzing. Some of the local government areas where you have a bigger chunk of the votes coming in terms of registered voters and in the PVC collected. And the delineation that INEC did, there are, of course, emergence of new polling units here and there. Bring us up to speed with the level of preparations and awareness, because there are a lot of people who may not be aware of where their PVC or where their own polling unit will be tomorrow morning. How much of enlightenment have you done as a commission?
Yes, we've done a lot of enlightenment. And remember that we are using the same polling units that we used in the last general election. So we had the presidential and national assembly election, and then we also had the House of Assembly election. So if there were any persons who had difficulties identifying where the polling units were, maybe at the first election, I'm sure that by the second election, they were able to know that. And we also had people who were doing voter education in the communities. As a matter of fact, apart from the INEC staff and our head of our voter education department and publicity department that was involved directly with voter education, and sometimes I was also in the studios in radio and television stations talking about this, we were also able to recruit some local NGOs that we supported with funds to target specific all the local government areas where they also did voter education at the grassroots level. So we think that it's unlikely for us to have a voter on election day who don't know where his or her polling unit is. And even if that happens, it will be easy to assist them to know where they are, because we also have a polling unit locator that people can actually use their phones to do that. But if there are people who are unable to do that, there will be people there. I mean, if they go to any polling unit, there should be people who could help them identify where the polling unit is located.
There are concerns, though, in areas like local government areas like Brass and Nembe. And these concerns are not, well, I mean, if anybody who had covered elections or who know these areas very well would not be surprised, because these are odd beds during elections, and most especially the volatility level is very high at every elections. But for example, if I go to specifics, residents of Brass were advised to stay indoors. That's at 5 p.m. today. It's not even election day. And in Brass, there are those who are agitated and there are those who are afraid. As a commission, what are your worries about these two areas, Brass and Nembe?
Okay, so we have actually deployed materials and personnel to these places. We are at the registration area centers right now in those places, and we look forward to turning up early morning tomorrow at the polling units for the people to come and vote. We hope that they turn up to vote. And if there are issues related to security, as you know, INEC is not directly involved with security. There are security agencies whose responsibility is to handle that. And I'm sure that they are seized with these facts and they know what to do and they will do it professionally. So we look forward to everybody acting professionally on the field tomorrow, and also the voters also acting responsibly. And more importantly, the political parties and candidates also acting responsibly in the way they approach the elections.
Before I allow you go, Mr. Efanga, if there is one thing that you, maybe in your dreams, that has caused you a lot of nightmares as a rec, I don't think that it's anything that should really give you too much of a headache, having headed River State and you know the kind of elections that go on in that kind of state. If you look at Bayelsa State, if there's one thing that's giving you some nightmare, has given you some fears, what would that be, Mr. Efanga?
Well, the point is that every election is different from the other in terms of what you could see. You have mentioned Rivers State. You forgot to mention Edo State also. I conducted the last general election in Edo State, actually. Rivers State was in 2019. And now I'm here in Bayelsa. But the important thing is to know what you need to do to conduct a good election and also be open to unexpected things happening and how to react to them. So I'm assured, I would say that I believe that we are going to have a good election tomorrow if everybody does their own part. And if things go, if something untoward happens, then we'll have to react to it. I wouldn't say I'm having sleepless nights over the elections.
Right. I pray that you wouldn't have any. So our elections will go on very well. Just 8 local governments in Bayelsa State, but it doesn't look as simple as that in Bayelsa State, where sometimes elections have been inconclusive severally in that state. But then Bayelsa State, there's one thing that is very rampant and very popular, a phenomenon that scares a lot of people, and that is rumor. In fact, there was a time that a governor had to appoint a special advisor or assistant at that time on rumor. In Bayelsa, how much of impact is this kind of phenomenon on your job as a resident electoral commissioner who conducts elections?
Well, I think it's not just a Bayelsa issue, it's a national malady. And, I tell people that in this age of social media, so anybody with a smartphone becomes a reporter, an editor, and a publisher of news and fake news many times. False information, inadequate information, and misinformation and disinformation. And we also have a public that may not be take the time to verify some of the things. So anything that people throw out there, sometimes it's just the headline. People don't even bother to read the details, and it keeps going and people sharing it. I've had my own bit of it when wrong information was passed, and I had to try to respond and correct them in the course of this election. But, well, it comes with the territory, like I keep saying.
Efanga, wreck of Bayelsa State, I wish you the very best. You will need a lot of the best of luck in your activities tomorrow, and even this evening. Thank you so much indeed, my friend Obo Efanga, the INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Bayelsa State, for talking to us tonight.
Thank you, Sheldon.
I appreciate it. We go on a break. I will get some comments from my guest, and of course, we'll be having the Force Police PRO speak to us about some of the phenomenon that they are dealing with on the ground there. But we'll take a break and more. We'll continue. We'll be touching base in Imo and Kogi State and seeing what is happening. We have some major stakeholders there who'll be speaking with us, as well as again here in the studio. We'll be right back.
All is set for the 2023 Chartered Institute of Directors Annual Conference.
As always, it promises to be exciting, educative, and entertaining.
And a beautiful opportunity to network with some of the finest boardroom gurus and directors in Africa.
We have a rich lineup of keynote speeches, panel discussions, networking opportunities,
and a government meets business dinner.
Our theme this year is driving Nigeria's economic transformation and diversification, the role of corporate governance.
And it will be taking place at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel Abuja
on the 16th and 17th of November 2023.
Please visit our website for registration and sponsorship details.
You cannot afford to miss this.
See you there.
My brothers, my sisters, for Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa, at the Beguna, as election they come, make we shun election-related violence. They know they pay anybody, because Development no dey happen for where crisis dey. Election violence no dey select who e go affect. If it be your own party, if it be your own family member. So, abeg no put your hand. Imagine if all these people now, like this mama when they hustle for her daily bread, this brother when they doing business. Look at all these people from our state. If they relate to you, you know good make election violence affect them. So I dey beg you, no fight, just vote. God could bless your state through you. Don't let anybody use you to cause wahala. Now our message be that. Now peace may be called for. God bless you.
For many years, we have secured and beautified your buildings with our security doors. And now, introducing Watson Time German, Israeli, and Turkish doors. Visit any of our factories, reach our distributors nationwide. Think doors. Think Watson Time doors.
Welcome to Mini-Me Comedy League. You have just 1 minute to show that you are a comedian.
We are going for war. This is serious business. I want to destroy them. It no go easy. We must win. There must be subsequent editions of this show.
Hi. Hello.
Oh, can you see me? It's got my name on the cup.
Hi, Africa Magic. I would like to say happy birthday.
Congratulations to Africa Magic.
20 is a lot.
I was shocked that it's only 20 years
of telling stories of passion.
Thank you for inclusion. Thank you for training me and raising me. Thanks for nurturing stars.
Today, if we are loved and celebrated around the world, Africa Magic has played a key role in that.
Happy birthday, Africa Magic.
To the best of them all, we love you.
Congratulations from Bright Easy Birubu, Badman Ball, Green Baby Hustler, Alaji with the long gun. Champagne.
You heard the resident electoral commissioner in Bayelsa State, Obo Efanga, who has been giving us some updates. Of course, we will touch base in Kogi State. The resident electoral commissioner will be speaking with us. But let's touch base in Imo before we move on to Kogi State. The Force Police PRO is with us. Muyiwa Adejobi is live with us from Owerri, the Imo State capital. Thank you so much, Mr. Adejobi, for joining us tonight.
Ashen, good evening. How are you? How are you, Nigerians?
Thank you so much. Give us an understanding. I know there's going to be a lot of attention in several areas, but let's clarify what we heard and what we are hearing in Bayelsa State. There was a protest, we know, and there was some kind of tear gas to disperse those protesters. Can you tell us anything about that?
Well, I'm sure you know that the DIG in charge of election in Bayelsa State has reacted to that. That was a protest. Everybody has the right to protest. That was a protest in Bayelsa yesterday, and the DIG has reacted to that. I don't know much into it. I know I saw it the way every Nigerian saw it in the news, and the DIG has attended to that. So there's no cause for any alarm. That one has come, that one has gone, and everybody has right to protest. But I'm sure the DIG has spoken to that from Bayelsa State.
Can you tell Nigerians what exactly the situation of things really was at a time when they were dispersed? Because this we understand that maybe they're just innocent people who are protesting the activities of the resident electoral, the police CP, who has been changed, and the resident electoral commissioner in the state. But the manner in which they were dispersed has raised a lot of agitation.
Well, action and reactions are equal and opposite. I wouldn't know what went wrong at the situation on ground then, but I'm sure the senior officers who are on ground were able to assess the situation appropriately and they acted appropriately. So I was not on ground. Those that are on ground, they are very senior officers who must have taken a decision to do what they have done. So I'm sure action and reactions are equal and opposite in science. So I wouldn't want to dabble into that because I don't have the report here with me, but I'm sure they have taken a very right decision for whatever they must have done in Bayelsa.
The Inspector General of Police had said that VIP protections are going to be withdrawn. There are those who say that up until now, that has not been 100% effective, that there are still VIPs that are going around town with their protection.
Well, the situation on ground, the IGP never said he will withdraw men from all the VIPs. The IGP was very clear about it, that we were specifically going to withdraw PMM, that is Police Mobile Force, from some VIPs for the establishment of Special Intervention Squad. Don't forget that the IGP, on assumption of office, made announcements for the establishment of Special Intervention Squad. 40,000 men to be mobilized for this squad, shared across the 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory. So there are some VIPs who are entitled to police aids. Statutorily, legally, they're entitled, whether we like it or not. By virtue of their personality, by virtue of their offices, they're entitled to police protection. These individuals are to enjoy these services. So the IG would not withdraw policemen from them. And for those who are not entitled to use particularly PMF, if they have reasons to have some police aids with them, their personality, the situation will be assessed, whether they actually need this police protection. And if they don't need police protection or they don't have any legal backing, there's no need for us to give them any men. And for those who will not have PMF men, there are provisions for some of them that will be to be using special protection units personnel. The special protection units, that is SPU, Blue Beret, we call them Blue Beret. It was established for VIP protection basically. So if we assess these individuals, their applications, and we are convinced that they actually need policemen, SPU personnel will be deployed to them. But generally, and let us be sincere, we cannot withdraw police personnel from all VIPs. It's not possible. There are some that must enjoy police protection. We have some who are not qualified in any way. We are going to withdraw these men from them. We need men to do practical and operational police duties in the 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory, to tackle these unnecessary insecurity situations we're having in these states, and of course to deal with non-state actors who are attacking individuals and various communities across this country. So the IGP never said he's going to withdraw policemen from all the VIPs. No, he mentioned that PMF men will be withdrawn for special intervention squad operations and other operational engagement on Nigerian police.
So now the question is, and the fear that has been on the ground, perhaps some of the practices that we have seen from past IGPs are that during the elections, police protections are not allowed within the vicinity of the polling unit. And these are the questions that have been asked, that will these protections, police protection for these VIPs, be used for ulterior motives? That is the question here.
The IGP has said it clearly, and we have made announcements as regards that. Police aides are not to move with their VIPs on election day. In Kogi, in Imo State, In Bayelsa State, the IGP has given that directive. No police aid will move out with his personnel on election day. In fact, we have even talked to these VIPs through their commanders that there are some VIPs that want to make use of their aids. If the aid is telling them, sir, we can't go out with you, they say, no, go out with me. We have talked to them through their commanders and unit commanders that on no account should they go out with their aids on election day. And you can hear what the people, the DIG in Bayelsa, the DIG in Kogi, even the DIG in Imo State, all of them have echoed the directive of the Inspector General of Police. Any police personnel, not only police personnel, all aides, even from the military, from other security agencies who are members of ISIS, Interagency Consultative Committee for Election Security is a body, and the information has gone around, and they all know that on no account should any aid go out with his principal on election day. This directive is clear enough, and we are giving out this directive on time. So nobody will have excuse of saying, I'm not aware or I don't know the directive. No, it is clear enough. And I think every personnel detailed to these VIPs, particularly political party leaders and these VIPs who are politicians, they know, they are aware. And if they are caught, they are going to meet their Waterloo according to our standard operating procedure and our disciplinary measures.
Let me quickly ask you, in Imo State where you are, there are some flashpoints, hotbeds, that are being identified as areas that the security agencies need to pay attention to. Olu, Oru, East, Osu, Okigwe, Idiato North. These are areas that need special attention considering historically the activities or criminal activities or violent activities that have happened in some of these areas. Are there special attention to these areas different from the areas that are saying as moderate in terms of violent activities?
You know, shown that election is a process, not a day thing. The police has done its threat assessment. We have done analysis of this assessment. We know where to deploy heavily. We know where to deploy lightly. So based on our threat analysis, we have done our deployment accordingly. There is no cause for alarm because aside that, when you have a threat analysis, the only thing that is constant in life is change and is inevitable. We know that we need to review our threat analysis, and this we've been doing on a regular basis. As today, we have another set of analysis that roll in from our intelligence community, intelligence team. We have this threat analysis, and we have done our deployment accordingly. In fact, there are some areas that we have just captured today that we need to deploy certain tactical commanders to. We have done that accordingly, not only in Owerri, in Bayelsa, in Kogi accordingly. And we have taken note of certain areas as well that are particularly our waterways. We know that in Imo State here, the Oguta Lake links with River Niger. We have taken note of this, and there's need for us to have a heavy blockage along River Niger coming into Imo State. This we have done in conjunction with Nigerian Navy personnel. The same thing in Kogi. You know, we have River Benue and River Niger. We have done deployment with our gunboats to see that we don't have influx of miscreants, thugs, these non-state actors into Kogi and other states like that, so that they will not disturb the electoral process. And of course, you know, Bayelsa is almost 70 or 75% water. We have taken note of that. We have done our deployment accordingly. There are many plainclothes operatives that are going to be on the field. They have their tags with them. You may not see the tags on their neck. We have some of them who are to gather intelligence accordingly. The IGP tool has deployed some personnel from National Cyber Crime Center to take charge of the cyber space in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo State, respectively. So every deployment has been done. We are sure and we're optimistic that our deployment are paying off already, because you can see across Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo states, as we speak with you, and from the reports from your correspondents on the field, you can see everywhere is calm. There is no problem at all. Despite the fact that we have heavy deployment, we have told our people to remain calm. Our presence in all these states is not to intimidate anybody, but to protect them and protect the electoral process in this state accordingly. So there's no problem, everywhere is calm, and we are still optimistic that tomorrow, 11th November, when the polls are on, there will not be any problem anywhere.
Yeah, the IG talked about mopping up of light arms and firearms that are illegally in the hands of non-state actors. I don't know how much of that has been done. Have you made any arrests significant to the security of this election?
Mopping up for arms is a continuous process.
But for this election, how much of that have you done? Have you made any arrests for this election that is relevant to the election?
I can't give you any figure offhand, but I know we have done a lot in that regard before now, that we have mopped up certain large number of arms and ammunition. In fact, we have been able to move some of them to the National Center for Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons at the office of the NSA. The body headed by General Diko, retired. We have surrendered some of these arms to them. We have been able to recover some and trace some of these recovered arms to some agencies in Nigeria. That's how we do it. When we recover any arms, we trace the source of the arm, return back to the original owner of these arms, which we do with the office of the NSA. And we have done a lot, but I won't be able to give you any figure offhand, but I know we have done well in this area.
What about in the area of arrest?
And it's a continuous process.
Well, have you made any arrests prior to this election? Today, yesterday, this evening?
Well, I know you know that we recorded some pre-election incidences in some of these states, particularly Kogi and part of Owerri. And the IGP has given directives that the DIG in charge of CID, DIG Abiodun, Sylvester Alabi, FDC, to take charge of all these cases and investigate. We are investigating these cases. If there's need for us to pick up individuals who are grossly involved in some of these violent incidences, we are going to do that. We just want to assure Nigerians that we are going to do the needful to make sure adequate investigations are carried out on some of these incidences recorded. IGP was in Kogi, IGP was in Imo, IGP was in Bayelsa State, and he made these messages clear to all of them. We are going to investigate all these cases, and whoever found wanting, of course, will face the fraud of the law accordingly.
Muyiwa Adejobi is the PRO of the Nigerian Police Force. Thank you so much indeed for talking to us. We'll go to Kogi State just in a moment, but let me talk
to enjoy the rest of your day.
To Mr. Emmanuel Ojukwu. Give us an understanding. There are even rumors, and I don't know how the police can handle it. There were even rumors that a candidate withdrew from the race, and the candidate said, I didn't withdraw. I mean, this kind of thing is coming. How can police handle that kind of situation?
Well, you call it a rumor. A rumor means it's unsubstantiated. And it can fly through any of the media, particularly social media. And if it does fly, it is up to INEC to determine whether he actually withdrew or he did not.
But it will have caused the damage, because the essence of that kind of rumor is to, in the eyes of unassuming members of the public, to discredit that person and make the person lose the chances in the minds of the voters.
Okay, once somebody says it's a rumor, he comes out and contradicts it and gives the proper opinion that I am still in the race. And this is, there are many strategies of winning an election. You can dissuade voters by painting your opponent in horrible colors. You can gaslight them. You can do so. You can carry a propaganda. This guy is sick or whatever. It is up to him to be up to speed. It's up to him to raise his own antenna and face it head on. If information comes that tends to demarcate him, let him put the perspective. So for this one now, police has no business in that. It's up to the voters. up to the political parties and INEC
to stay on their toes. And
it's up to them to counter it. The police on election day will just be there. Whoever is contesting is contesting. What they want is the conduct of the election to be free and fair and to be safe for voters and then the INEC officials. That's police job on that day.
I mean, if you look at the 3 states and of the cameras, yourself and Prof were having this conversation of how volatile these 3 states are naturally in terms of security. But, I mean, a difficult election to conduct, isn't it, Mr. Ojukwu?
Very, very difficult. Imo, for more than 4 years now, has been hot. You mentioned there are some areas that people will not even vote because of fear for their lives. Where you have ESN operating, where you have a Bubagu doing something, and some criminal elements, militia groups, killing people, warning people not to attend. Anybody going there to vote will be taking a risk for it. And who wants to go and die because of election? And there are other issues. Bayelsa, you know the situation there. Every election cycle, there's always violence. Kogi is the worst of the 3. Kogi needs a Marshall Plan to make election work and to make governance work. Kogi. I was commissioner of police there, and I know Kogi is particularly difficult.
I would like you to explain to us and give us your knowledge in that area. And there are those who will look at Okene, Olamaboro, and some other areas. But let me go to Prof quickly. Prof, I mean, you've studied human behavior. And election is part of those things that form the sociology, the psychology of human behavior, especially as it relates to how their lives and livelihoods can be better. But in the kind of narrative that we're seeing in this election, of these 3 elections, what are your initial thoughts about these 3 off-cycle elections?
Well, let me start by commenting on the issue of what you call the rumor, or popularly now known as misinformation, disinformation, or simply fake news. They could be part of the new normal, where you can get social media influencers, to push a particular narrative. That narrative might be to advance a particular candidate or to demarket another. Yes, you have now fact checkers that come in because, sometimes the first wave of information or disinformation flies higher than a counter narrative. So increasingly, we have a number of civil society organizations that set up fact-checking. But even before you fact-check, it has gone down.
The damage has been made.
The damage. And this is really a challenge in many places. About the elections, the 3 states surprisingly have a number of things in common. Because elections are not like academic seminars. They are driven by emotions across the world. And what are the emotions, for example, that run or will drive the election in these 3 states? One, surprisingly, will be something, an extrapolation of what we saw at the national level, the issue of zoning. For example, if you go to Imo State, one of the issues is that the zoning arrangement, an unwritten zoning arrangement was disrupted when Ohakim from Okigwe zone, was defeated by Okorocha. So from then, you see that if Ozodema now succeeds in winning, he will have the zone where the Olu zone will have had 24 years of continuous rule. Whereas the Owerri zone, where Emeka Ihedioha comes from, will have had only 7 months. And then, Owerri will have had 7 months. And the Okigwe will have had only the tenure of 4 years of a Hakim. So that's one of the narratives. And the governor had tried now for it to say, okay, there is an arrangement. After me now, it will be the Owerri area. And we don't know. Even within these, there are other dynamics. The same thing goes in if you go to Bayelsa, is it the time of the central? Bayelsa Central or Bayelsa East. The argument is allow the man from East, Duri, to complete 2 terms. Then the others are saying, look, the people from the Central have never really completed 2 terms. Jonathan did only 1 term. Sylvia did only 1 term. So allow them also to complete a term. Now you go to Kogi. If you go to Kogi, apart from the time of Yaya Bello, You see that is the East, I believe. In fact, apart from that intervention, they have dominated the political system. And now, curiously again, Yaya Bello, the candidate of the AP, is from the same local government. So, and what happens to the West? So these are some of the emotions that you see as recurrent in all this. And then, of course, within this is not just straightforward. Even if you go to Imo, within the same zone, you have other identities that are at play. For example, if you go to that Imo state, you have within that Owerri, their eyes on you. Come in, the people from different towns now. We now start, for example, Ihedioha, they will say that the candidate of the PDP was one of the people that made it possible for him not to get a return ticket. To what extent will that influence? To what extent will the Obi phenomenon in the Southeast play? Now you go to something like, you go to Bayelsa, Jonathan has endorsed Diri. What will be the impact of that? And what will be the impact of federal might? Don't forget, as soon as the Supreme Court affirmed the election of Bola Tinubu, Governor Diri, a PDP man, was one of the first in the villa to pledge his allegiance. So there is a certain belief that the federal might is also needed. And don't forget that all the governors in these three were former PDP people. They are PDP. So we're looking at this variable.
It's going to be very interesting. And also, of course, out of all of these in 2 states, there are 2 of the incumbents who are seeking re-election. So all of those dynamics will be analyzed. Well, let me touch base with the resident electoral commissioner in Kogi State, Dr. Gabriel Longpet, who joins us live. Dr. Longpet, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. All right. We'll go on a short break, but okay, I can see Dr. Longpet, but just stay with me, Dr. Longpet. We'll go on a short break, but when we come back, we'll be checking with you just how ready you are with your team for tomorrow's election. And of course, we'll come back to our consultants and our analysts here in our studio to look at all the gamut of the preparations ahead of tomorrow's exercise. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.
In a world hungry for goodness, with a splash of golden Terra oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile, make a lunch hour a happy hour. Change no thanks into yes please. Provide care when our nearest and dearest needs it most. And resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty, nourishing family meals is all that matters. The world needs moms, because where there are moms, there is hope, happiness, and love. Golden Terra Oil, or pure love.
Hi. Now, let me tell you about Safari Valley Eco Resort, the first of its kind in West Africa. Upon your arrival, you are introduced to your butler, who plans your itinerary.
We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the eco park.
So many activities, all in the same premises. Visit the gym or the stables, they have it all. At my break, I'm able to practice my putting.
We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife and how to interact with them.
They used only electric vehicles here. This creates a serene environment. I'm told it's over 1,000 acres. My cabin here sits on 2 acres with a large terrace space overlooking my private swimming pool. Now this is royalty. They have their own farms, thousands of fruit trees. I can also have my lunch here at the waterfall. Quite a beautiful place you have here.
Visit Safari Valley Eco Resort in Ghana, bringing you closer to nature.
Yes. Wow. Wow.
Made from plant-based ingredients with no genetically modified components, with no GMOs, and naturally sweetened with monk fruits. All Renzo products are vegan, pleasant tasting, and melting. Renzo's vitamins for kids are available at your neighborhood pharmacy. Renzo's vitamins for kids. Good vitamins, healthy kids.
Experience the opulence and security of Swiss Street doors. With over 30 years experience, exclusive with a touch of history and craftsmanship, Swiss Street doors are made from the finest ancient aga and ivory wood. A range of exclusive armored doors, elegant interior doors, carefully crafted by world-renowned architects and engineers. At Swiss Street, a door is much more, plus premium quality onyx stones and luxury interiors. Visit Swiss Street today or call now. Swiss Street, blend of beauty and security.
Which kind of wire you gonna need to light up your life? Oh, man, the quality wire. Which kind of cable you gonna need to light up your house? Oh, man, it's a cable. Coleman quality. Coleman wire. Coleman durable. Coleman cable. Coleman plastic. Coleman cable for any kind of project. Coleman. Now come and be the bar. Come and see. Now come and be the bar. Come and won't light up your life. Now come and be the bar. Come and see. Now come and be the C-O-L-E-M-A-A. Quality. Durable. Oh yeah. Now come and be the bar.
Wires and cable.
Professor Junior Kwadide and Mr. Emmanuel Ojukwu. Both of them have been speaking with us on the program. Of course, we will go to Kogi as soon as we are able to reconnect with the resident electoral commissioner, Dr. Gabriel Longpet. Let me come back to you, Mr. Ojukwu, and I'd like us to dissect this security issue. And one major phenomenon here is the issue of vote buying. And I'm not sure there has been a proper solution to cure that problem. What, in your own view, is the impact and perhaps of this year on our electoral process, and how do we deal with it?
Well, I think that we have not got it right because we have been talking to the wrong people. Voter education is a small thing. Smaller thing compared to the education of the political elite. They are the ones buying the votes. The voters are the ones who are being wooed with money. And the voters are poor. That's the issue. When you operate in an environment of poverty, where minimum wage is 30,000 naira, where Nigeria is been said to be multi-dimensionally poor, people don't know where the next meal is coming from. We had government, the last government, we are giving loan to people, 10,000 naira, 5,000, whatever they call it, trader money and all that. And that's a loan, repayable. Government gives you a loan, 5,000, you repay. Nigeria is poor, very, very poor. Now, when the voters are poor, as we find in this instance, and are hungry, they appear at the polling unit to vote. Now, somebody who is money bags, has plenty of money, comes to lobby them with money. And they know that in the long run, whether they take the money or not, their vote won't count. So they better take the one they've seen. Because whenever somebody goes into government, gets into government, elected as a governor or whatever, his belly is the area of concentration, not what will favor the masses, not infrastructure, not what we call dividends of democracy, but himself and his immediate family. So the voters will rather take the 2,000 he gives them, vote whoever they like. They may vote for him or for whoever. Vote buying is an offense, but who is going to bear the cat? You may have 4 policemen, not just police, other agencies at the polling booth. And you have a voter population of 500 or more. 4 policemen, other security agents not armed to face 500 who are hungry. No policeman should die in the course of an election. So it is wiser for him to allow it to go ahead. Then the man could be arrested later on. But people who have been arrested for electoral offenses, I don't know whether you heard recently about anybody who has been charged or convicted for electoral offenses. So there's a lot of impunity, impunity in governance. And whoever gets into it covers those who have enabled him to get in there. So the laws don't work, the courts don't work. The system entirely needs to be rejigged, and people need to be properly oriented as to what election means in Nigeria. Without election means choice. You choose, you recruit somebody to govern you for 4 years or 5 years, as the case may be. But if such a choice is influenced by money, it's no more free choice.
There was such a time that it doesn't matter how people voted. It doesn't matter who voted. Election results are written. But increasingly, our electoral process is being sanitized. And politicians are so desperate to the point that they say, oh, since we cannot write the results as we used to do, there's a way that we can at least, influence the voting at the polling unit. And those who have advocated that the placement, because the manner in which vote buying goes at the voting point is such that when you vote and you have thumb printed the ballot paper, you sort of raise it up so that the man who is going to give you the money is saying how you have voted. Then you go and so it's an evidence of the commodity. Then you go and collect the money later on, and all of these things go on in broad daylight. I mean, how much of a societal decay do you think has influenced this, Prof?
Well, it's not just money. There was one of the elections where one party was offering a bowl of rice, and the other one, the other party, competing party, decided to up the ante by adding two pieces of meat to it. So it's also a question.
There was even an election that they were offering fear.
Yes.
It was prior to the election.
So now fear
there was scarcity of fear. So they will tell you, take a tally, go to the filling station tomorrow. Don't forget to go and vote for us.
But as my brother said here, there are a number of reasons apart from poverty. The question that there is absolute distrust, of the system, the disbelief that your vote will make any difference. As you alluded to, if you believe that the outcome will not reflect the popular will, so it becomes matter of economic rationality to trade your vote. By the way, we still have to question whether it is more appropriate to call it vote trading, because unless you have to have a buyer and a seller.
It's a demand and supply.
It's a demand and supply. So there are people willing to buy, sell, and they have various reasons. Some of them you can say are cogent. If, for example, you believe you don't accept any of the choices, remember that the whole essence of election is leadership recruitment. If you don't believe that elections themselves offer credible platforms for election leadership recruitment, then that means that your vote, you might as well throw away your votes. That's part of the reasons why you have low voter turnout. And you can decide, instead of abstaining from voting, you might as well cash it. It's not moral, it is not right, but people will justify it on economic rationality basis. That maybe it makes it more rational to have something in return instead of just destroying it because you don't believe in any of the candidates. For us, elections in a democracy does not promise you that you get the best. It just offers you a choice among those that put themselves forward for you to select. And in our kind of climb, those who are able to put themselves forward are those who have the necessary rough edges to swim in these shark-infested waters. If you don't come forward. If you cannot take the heat, you don't get into the kitchen. Right. So for that reason, the whole idea of whether elections have lost their meaning as platforms, as mechanisms for leadership recruitment. That's why we also have to interrogate it.
Because, again, there are those who will say, okay, it is not even only the voters that are being induced.
Yeah.
Even the party agents of other political parties.
That is right.
The party with the bigger money will tell the party agent, and maybe the party agent of the smaller party is being given 5,000 naira or not, I mean, no money at all, and they offer him money, then he then joins them. I mean,
it all boils down to what we're saying, what somebody calls stomach infrastructure. And then again, that votes don't actually count. Now, you take Bayelsa, about 1 million voters go to vote. And at the end, whatever they've done for that day, the waiting, the anxiety and whatever, what they've suffered to do, at the end, a judge will write a 1 million page judgment to cancel their 1 million votes. Just like that. One person can nullify the votes of 1 million Nigerians. That tendency has been there. So there's so much distrust, disenchantment, disillusionment in the system. Again, there is adult delinquency. I mentioned impunity earlier on. You talk about showing your vote to somebody. Our former president did that. Buhari did that.
Buhari did that.
He voted, he showed his vote, he showed it.
Which was illegal.
Of course, it's an offense. But nobody arrested him. He has immunity. Nobody questioned him. And we're asked to follow our leaders. People look up to him as a mentor. And they saw it as normal. He even went to ask his wife where she voted. And she showed him. And it's a secret ballot. So the people who lead us don't show good examples. And so the followers follow nonsense. And the system is messed up. We need a reorientation. The Electoral Act itself, tomorrow is election day. There have been many electoral offenses. But what is the power of the police on election day? Zero.
Just let me press you for a moment there. And I understand Dr. Gabriel Longped is now with us and he can hear me. Mr. Rek, good evening and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Good evening, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I do not envy your chair and the shoes you're wearing right now because I know it's perhaps one of the most difficult jobs at the moment. You are superintending a very, very critical elections for the people of Kogi State. But how do you feel, though?
I feel very ready. I feel very serene. I anticipated that. I've worked expecting that for the past 1 year. And so I am ready.
So, I mean, you used one word that is perhaps not frequently used when describing how elections can be better conducted. So what we're used to is credible, free, and fair elections. But you have used verifiable. When you use that word, what exactly do you mean?
What I mean is that you can follow the process of the voting process, the collation process, the transmission of the result from when we uploaded from the polling unit to the BVAS and to the IRF, so that you can follow this process. It's open. It's one can verify at one level or the other. You can follow that process up to the local government coalition level, and then right up to the state level. So that is what I mean, that it's a process that is open, transparent. Everybody would follow that. Everybody will be able to understand what is being done. And that is what we've been able to sensitize people about, the voting process, the coalition and transmission of result process, and the coalition at the ward, the local government, and at the state.
Well, I mean, how
so that
do we do this?
Every voter who wants to know how do we
follow? How do we verify
the results?
How do the citizens do this?
Well, I believe at every polling unit, the political parties have agents who are there and would have monitors who are going to be at the polling units. They would see how the accreditation process goes. They will see how the results are counted, how the results are recorded, and if agreed by all, they are signed. And copies are given, duplicate copies are given to party agents, while the presiding officer uses the beaver to snap the Form EC8A results and transmit it to the IRF viewing portal at the Coalition Center, the World Coalition Center. So it is a process that those who have been at the initial stage, at the polling unit, can understand, will follow, because right from the beginning, the presiding officer is supposed to explain the process to the voters that might have gathered in the queue to be accredited, how the voting process is going to take place and what would happen. And at the same time, when people get to the coalition center at the ward, the same process will be explained to them. This is what we are going to do. This is how it is going to be done. And progressively to the local government levels and to the state coalition center.
I mean, we know that some of these devices that you're going to be using tomorrow are also, the manufacturers have estimated the kind of temperature they need to operate in. Kogi State, from the what the weatherman is saying tomorrow, it's going to be very hot. And if you're covering elections in Kogi State, you get to some areas that even your mobile telephone will start getting so hot in the moment that you have to put it off sometimes. It has happened, and some of these devices just easily might not work or malfunction. I mean, in that sense, do you have alternate plans should the beavers refuse to work in some areas?
Well, we have backups. If beavers are the ones we've configured for each polling unit has any malfunction, we have backups that could be configured for that polling unit and could be used as a replacement. We've tested these beavers during the mock accreditation. Especially, we tested it in a place like Ganaja, a polling unit that has 13,000 registered voters. That was to test the veracity of the equipment to see whether it can withstand the pressure, the intensity of use, and so on and so forth. And it came out brilliantly well. So I do not anticipate that we're going to have some malfunctions as a result of the temperature, because these were the same devices we used during the February and March general election. So I do not anticipate any difficulties at all arising from malfunction of the beavers. But you never know, these are technical things. Anything could happen. But in the event that such things happen, we have replacements that we will easily use by the RATEC to configure for the particular polling unit that might be experiencing any difficulties.
Since you have brought in the word verifiable, it then brings to the question of how, I mean, some of you and your colleagues have said that the IRF will work. Maybe we can get some reassurance, because that is, if anyone wants to verify, especially what those, in fact, those who are voting in Kogi State could do it. Those who are not voting could also do it. From your own point of view, IRF, how ready is it from Kogi's point of view?
Yeah, we tested it, like I said, during the mock accreditation. And within 2 to 3 hours of concluding the mock accreditations, all results from all the polling units were on the IRF. And we didn't experience any difficulties at all in terms of network or any breakdown at all. So I expect that such will happen tomorrow.
Tell us about your plan, considering the kind of violence that we have seen in the past days in Kogi State. Does that give any kind of worry to INEC in terms of conduct of the exercise?
We have gone on, notwithstanding the challenges, the violence that have happened in some parts of the state, but it is not within our remit to deal with that. It is within the context of the security agencies who would deal with that. We've discussed those things in the ISS meetings, and these have formed the strategies for which deployments are going to be made and deployments made. We mapped out the areas, possible areas of challenges that we might experience in Kogi State, and this have been made available to the security agencies, and that will inform their deployment to ensure that every citizen of the state who comes out to vote tomorrow will be doing so in an atmosphere devoid of threat, intimidation, or violence.
We've seen more of this violence in the Eastern Senatorial District of Kogi State. And are there special attention to these areas when you were having conversations with the Committee on Election Security?
Yeah, like I said, we mapped out, we did a mapping of the whole state, and we identified the various areas where we've had challenges, the nature of the challenges, the degree of the challenges, the degree of the risks involved. Is it high? Is it medium? Is it low? And that is what we've been able to inform the police and discuss. And with the level of security that is deployed to Kogi State, I think this is what has informed their deployment to those areas. And the police have been, the past 1 week, have been very active in the Eastern Senatorial District by ensuring that those known areas, notorious areas for thuggery and other violent activities that have happened in the past, they have been able to do some raids in those areas to mop up some of those miscreants and people that might be preparing to disrupt our process. So I'm confident that with the level of deployment with security in Kogi that I've seen in the past 1 week, I'm confident that if all things go well and the security agencies and do their part and ensure that they provide a very safe environment for people to go and cast their vote, we would be having a very good election tomorrow in Kogi State.
I mean, those areas that have been identified, local government identified, include Ofu, Dekina, Ankpa, Igalamela, and in fact, in places like Ujumu and Ogorimagongo, these are about 7 local government areas in Kogi State identified as possible hotbeds for these elections. What more can you tell us? What more do you know about these areas at the volatility level and what you think that voters need to be wary of?
You know, any disruption to people's normal activities is bound to bring concerns and worry to the locality, people in the localities. The places you've mentioned are also part of on the mapping of the state that we've done. And the levels of, most of what we experienced in the past has been thuggery, invasion of polling units, or invasion of ward collation centers. But we have been particularly insisting to the security agencies that we do not want to give room for such things to happen, especially in a situation where after the election of the polling units and the results are being conveyed to the ward collation centers, where our staff are usually then waylaid and attacked, where results are taken from them and torn or mutilated. So we've been given assurance that from the polling unit, after everything, the security agencies will accompany our staff with the results and back to the collation center at the ward level. And from the ward level, there will be an enhanced level of security as well to ensure that the collation is done in an atmosphere of calm, peace, and transparency. From the ward coalition centers, they then moved to the local government coalition center under heavy police protection as well, where they finished that, and ultimately they will be escorted from each local government area to the state coalition center here in Lokoja. So we've been given every assurance, and from what we've seen so far in terms of the presence of the security agencies, I think we're going to have a very good election tomorrow.
Before I allow you go, Mr. Longpat, if there is one thing that gives you some kind of worry about this election that you hope will not rear its head, what would that be?
I think my one worry is had been transportation of men and materials to the various local governments, to the various rack centers, and then the reverse logistics, bringing them back after the polling at the various polling units to the rack centers, and then ultimately bringing everybody back to the state headquarters, and where we would have finished the process of election at the various levels and back to the state. My worry is how safe and that my people will come back safely with no incidents, as I had last election, where I had some of my staff that were kidnapped. But this time around, we provided adequate security to lead them through to their various wards, and also we've been promised that the same level of protection will be provided for them to get back to their various local government centers. We have some places in Kogi that are very difficult to reach, difficult terrains. And when you talk of Lokoja local government, one would ordinarily think that, oh no, it's a metropolitan area and there will be no problem in terms of transportation. But Lokoja local government has some of the most difficult to reach areas in the state. You have to go to Niger State to be able to come back through to Lokoja local government in Kogi State. And it's a distance of about time that will take you about 7 to 8 hours on the road to go to these places. And so to guard against anything, we have given directive that if by 6 o'clock they had not left those who are ward centers, they shouldn't leave. They should stay there for overnight and leave the following day to avoid any other challenges, putting themselves at risk of harm as they travel back to Lokoja.
Thank you so much. I hope that some of those
your
staff that were abducted, have they been released?
Well, yes, they have since been released. They have since been released.
All right. Gabriel Longpet, the resident electoral commissioner in Kogi, said thank you so much indeed for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Sean.
I wish you the very best.
And good night.
You heard what he said. You have been in charge of Kogi State to conduct a successful election there. What do you think is very important? And I mentioned those areas, the Kina, Ofu, Igalamela, what area is Angpa? These are areas very sensitive.
In Angpa, a number of killings. That area is Kogi East.
Yeah.
Large population. Not just Kogi East, Kogi Central itself. Kogi is a volatile area, generally. A lot of kidnappings, a lot of armed groups within Kogi. The threat analysis will keep showing red in Kogi. And when I was there, I did mention that Kogi requires a Marshall Plan. Kogi should not be treated like any other state. Special. We are fighting Boko Haram in the northeast. We neglected Kogi. Kogi has been feeding Boko Haram. They have terrorist cells in Kogi. Who can say no to this election tomorrow? They're there. And they are not being addressed. So there are issues. And the East has been dominating the political landscape got their numbers. Now, for the first time, I think Kogi Central got it. And a few days ago, I learned there was a killing there. A police officer was killed. And somebody said it was an attempt at a campaign director of a political party. So there have been killings and killings in Kogi State. He just mentioned kidnapping. It's a hotbed of kidnapping.
If you were the IG, for example, what would you do differently in Kogi?
I recommend that they should shut Kogi down for 2 weeks and search it in and out. The catching of arms you get in Kogi will marvel this country. You can quote me.
Prof, you heard, logistics is usually a nightmare for INEC, and because they do not control it. This is one area that they also allow other third parties to help them. But he has said it that if there is one thing that worries him, it's the transportation issue. And don't forget, in 2023 election in February, March, on the day of election, there are places where the transporters didn't show up.
They didn't show up. No, I think it's, it's not just going to be only in Kogi. If Kogi is the distance and the security situation. In Bayelsa, 70% of the area is water. Out of the 8 local governments, 4 are riverine. So you need all those speedboats and the rest of them together. If you go to Imo, some people have...
Sorry, Prof. In those speedboats, you need to get military.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
To accompany. So because on the waters of Bayelsa, you don't just...
first of all is that...
1 hour, 2 hours, you're still on the ice.
Yes, so that presents... The terrain presents a challenge. And this challenge is compounded by the security situation. And you find the same in Imo State. The same now as somebody had got up and said, declared sit at home. I don't know if you read about it at the upper man, that should be sit at home. So whether that works, whether the heavy presence of the security personnel, will embolden people, give people the confidence to come and vote amid what has been happening in Imo State is something that is left to be seen. But so we are now looking at not just the transportation, the logistics has been a challenge in normal times. And this transportation now that people, you can see, he said, when it is 6 p.m., stay there, or 6 a.m. And many transporters will also be assessing the risk continuously. For example, there has been like killing here and there. The transport people will also be, take their own precaution. So, but we're hoping for the best. And one of the takeaways from the people you spoke to is that you need to project this optimism. Because if we all emphasize so much on the likely scenario of what may go wrong, it will fit into the voter apathy, and it will be worse. Don't forget that, for example, Bayelsa has always had the lowest voter turnout, 16% in the last one. So, and we are, one of the things I believe we're trying to do, apart from, the whole lack of confidence in INEC, I was among those campaigning that the continued presence of Mahmoud in INEC delegitimizes the body. And now that he's here and we want the election to go on, we have to do what we, like the electoral or the pilot will do in a period of turbulence, just to reassure everybody not to interfere, that everything is under control. That's what they keep on telling us. And that's why my brother, the former police commissioner, will be telling us. Otherwise, if we start projecting this pessimism, where do they go from?
Yeah, and perhaps it's also good for those who need to take action to start looking at what could be a last-minute option in dealing with some of these issues that have been raised. But there are even, in fact, more critical issues that I would like you, gentlemen, to help tackle. But we need to run and break now. And when we return, Professor Adibe and Mr. Ojukwu will be dealing with some of these issues that are critical for tomorrow's election, which you need to know as a citizen. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.
fresh taste.
Experience the opulence and security of Swiss Trade doors. With over 30 years experience, exclusive with a touch of history and craftsmanship, Swiss Trade doors are made from the finest ancient aga and ivory wood. A range of exclusive armored doors, elegant interior doors, carefully crafted by world-renowned architects and engineers. At Swiss Trade, a door is much more, plus premium quality onyx stones and luxury interiors. Visit Swiss Trade today or call now. Swiss Trade, blend of beauty and security.
Which kind of wire you gonna need to light up your life? Oh, man, the quality wire. Now which kind of cable you gonna need to light up your house? Oh, man, it's a cable. Coleman quality. Coleman wire. Coleman durable. Coleman cable. Coleman cable. Coleman cable for any kind of project. Coleman. Now Coleman be the come and see. Now come and be the Coleman won't light up your life. Now come and be the Now come and be the C-O-L-E-M-A. Quality. Durable, oh yeah. Now come and be the
Coleman wires and cable.
All is set for the 2023 Chartered Institute of Directors Annual Conference.
As always, it promises to be exciting, educative, and entertaining.
And a beautiful opportunity to network with some of the finest boardroom gurus and directors in Africa.
We have a rich lineup of keynote speeches, panel discussions, networking opportunities,
and a government meets business dinner.
Our theme this year is driving Nigeria's economic transformation and diversification, the role of corporate governance.
And it will be taking place at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel Abuja
on the 16th and 17th of November 2023.
Please visit our website for registration and sponsorship details.
You cannot afford to miss this.
See you there.
Welcome to Mini-Me Comedy League. You have just 1 minute to show that you are a comedian.
We are going for war. This is serious business. I want to destroy them. And no go easy. We must win. There must be subsequent editions of this show.
Welcome to Mini-Me Comedy League. You have just 1 minute to show that you are a comedian.
We are going for war. This is serious business. I want to destroy them. And no go easy. We must win. There must be subsequent editions of this show.
man, seriously, this guy is very, very funny. Such guys are... Oh boy, how far? The fish is ready now. Eat something.
I'm not in the mood. My tummy is hot. I'm having heartburn.
You have heartburn too?
I don't know. I don't understand.
This is serious.
Like I will leave.
No.
Don't worry, I have something to make you feel better. Supermag Antacid is the remedy. Supermag Antacid gives effective and instant relief of hyperacidity, heartburn, and stomach discomfort. It contains a combination of antacid agents that give fast and sustained relief. It is pleasantly sweeting. It doesn't purge or cause diarrhea. Supermag Antacid is suitable for children, adults, and pregnant women. So, whenever you feel stomach discomfort, heartburn, and hyperacidity, use Supermag Antacid. It is manufactured by Mopsin Pharmaceutical Limited, 47 Osoloway, Ajawa Estate, Oshodi, Lagos. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your doctor.
Waiter! One more plate, please.
Wow. But you told us you wanted to leave.
With Supermag, I'm okay.
We are the School of Public Health without wall, located in Ondo City, Ondo State. The School of Public Health of the University of Medical Sciences, UNIMED, bridges the gap between classroom learning and the field. Our faculty with deep knowledge of public health is our pride.
I'm Professor Olumide Ogudausis. I bring to bear my decades-long experience in public health, working in the WHO.
Our goal is to build one of the best schools of public health in the world in the shortest time possible. And we are right on track towards achieving our target.
UNIMED School of Public Health offers courses such as Postgraduate Diploma in Public Health, Masters of Public Health, Masters of Science in Public Health, Doctor of Public Health, Doctor of Philosophy in Public Health. For more, visit www.unimed.edu.ng.
Staying with us. Let's get back to the conversation. There seems to be, from what I see, one thing that the police this time around did not tell us is the number of deployments. And I think intentionally, before now, 25,000, 35,000, 22,000 police officers deployed to these. I think probably this is a departure to give some psychological boost to the environment, so that people don't think that there is somewhat an over-militarization of the exercise. But if you look at the development and the growth in the manner in which police, especially because police is at the center of election security, right, in which they have developed over the years, what do you think is the positive that we can take out of this?
The police is a living organization, and one of the qualities that it must grow. It's growing in terms of strength. It's growing in numbers. It's growing in terms of wisdom and capacity. It's growing in strategy and deployment tactics. The police is growing in developing standard operating procedures on how to get things done. They're growing in that. And they're also making a lot of inroads that are covering the trust of members of the public. Because when the police began community policing, it sold itself back to the people who own it. Now, when the Police Act came in 2020, it now showed for the first time that Nigerians actually own the police. Before 2020, Nigerians did not own the Nigerian police. But by that Police Act of 2020, Nigerians showed ownership of the police. And there are many programs the police has begun to win itself back to the public. And
for example, in this kind of election, does the Nigerian police have the capacity to remotely monitor what is going on? At the headquarters, I just imagine that maybe at the headquarters they have some, because I mean, we had a feeling, in fact, the past IG launched some area of surveillance gadgets.
Unmanned vehicles, yes. Drones and all that.
Yes.
But how many drones can the police have to cover 923,000 square kilometers of Nigeria? You can't do that. And these issues are not supposed to be purchased by the police, but by the government of the day. Some time ago, they thought they have CCTV in Abuja, and they spent billions to launch it. It never worked. These are issues Nigerians should equip for their police, not the police who get this in, because the budget can never be enough. There's no way you can remotely control or monitor what goes on all over Nigeria without the particular input of the public, because the police is a public institution, public service institution. The public, Nigerians, must own it and provide for it the wherewithal to render good services for Nigerians.
I mean, I've seen a situation where on election day, we see people who will bring canopies. Because the election, they say, is a festival of democracy. You see people bring canopies. They'll bring food. They will relax, and you go vote, you come back to the canopy. In fact, they will reach out to the police officers, to the INEC officials, the ad hoc officials, to say, okay, let us have some kind of atmosphere that people can enjoy themselves and yet participate in the exercise. If there is something that we can be happy about as a lesson from the last election, going into this election, what would that be for you, Prof?
Well, let me start by the comment on the police. The issue is not whether the police people are making progress. We are getting to see more very articulate, very intelligent police officers, and you interviewed many of them. So what remains is whether people believe that they are independent of the government in power. And that is why you can still hear, even from the last presidential and governor general elections, that the police people might be around and people are being battered and they turn a blind eye. So there is this pervasive distrust, not on the capability of the police, which I believe, I agree, they're improving in their capability, but to what extent are they independent and not tied to the government of the day? Why do you think that whether you are in the opposition, Governor Diri, PDP, was the first to go and congratulate President Tinubu on affirmation as by the Supreme Court? I think that's the federal might in an election, and that is the fear, rightly or wrongly, and we have seen it across. I have not personally seen any improvement. What we can take away as a positive is that despite what happened in the last election, and we must, the fact that the Supreme Court affirmed the president must not take away some of the very storied, unpalatable stories or events that happened around the elections. So we must put it that the fact that people are still willing, we see a number of collections. For example, if you go to Owerri, for the first time in that constituency, the Owerri senatorial zone, they've had more PVC collections than all senatorial zones. So we are now saying, okay, so people are even showing still, despite the fact that now people believe that it is not the voters, but mostly now courts decide. And people are still willing to come out. I think that is their implicit confidence in the democracy.
I must sincerely thank both of you. Thanks so much for coming. It is good to see you. Mr. Emmanuel Ejukwu, a former commissioner of police, a security consultant, and Professor Jide Ofoadibe, a professor of political science. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for keeping my company and sharing those insights for us and your words of wisdom in these areas. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
Well, our continued coverage of the elections in the 3 states continue tomorrow. As the polls are opening, our studios are opening at 8 a.m. Keep it right on this dial. Thank you so much indeed, everyone, for watching. I'm Sean Akimale.